world of trouble, losing 2 in a row to close out this West Coast trip, man. And we got lots to talk about, man. Hit that thumbs up and blessings to everyone out here. But we've got lots to hit on. Chris Gotti's in the building. The New Yorks lose 113 to 126, right, in Golden State. And frustrations are abound, man, with this team. Going to talk about some solutions that I think the Knicks need to look at, man. But this is a top to bottom situation right now with the whole organization, man, needing to ask serious questions, right? We have Jalen Brunson missing, and we've seen games without Cat, against Detroit where we struggled. We saw games without Brunson, and there's struggles as well, man. And it's not just one thing, man. We know what this team needs, right? And it needs a wake up, right? It needs a shake up, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. Let's talk about it. Yabusele continues to get minutes, and I don't understand because the Knicks actually fought. They came out strong early in this one and looked like they wanted to compete, right? Violent Knicks culture, salute, 100%. We're missing toughness, man. As I put in the caption, Knicks came out, right? They wanted to compete. Last night was a no-show in Sacramento and a complete disaster, in my opinion, from the whole organization, right? Obviously, Brunson goes down in the first quarter last night, but the Knicks made a late fake comeback. But if they just give that effort for 4 quarters, man, they're always in the ball game. But it's an absolute disgrace the way himself last night. Now tonight, Cat, so much better effort, but we know a flawed basketball player. And the New York Knicks right now, they're lacking confidence, right? They're lacking toughness, and obviously Hart coming back gave this team that boost, and we got that win in Portland. That was a good win. The win against the Clippers, that was a good win. But right now, man, they just don't look confident. Shout out to OG Anunoby tonight, man. He fought till the very end, man, charging to the basket, right? We're going to talk about Draymond Green, man, and his dirty acts, grabbing Karl Anthony Towns on the ankle, right? Should have been a flagrant 2, should have been an ejection, man. But we know, man, the NBA's been looking after and taking care of Draymond Green, man, for years. It's completely unacceptable. It's a blight on the league, on the sport as a whole. But the New York Knicks, man, it is trade season, and Leon Rose got to address the skid with this team, right, from top to bottom, right? Mike Brown, I've got my own concerns. Not overly down on Mike Brown as a whole because we're sitting in, the 3rd seed. But, continuing to play Yabusele, is that a mandate, right? He's not helping you win. He's unplayable right now. And I tweeted this out, as Chris Gotti also says in the chat, man. In the first quarter, the Knicks had that momentum, got up 17 tonight. But Yabusele, man, a critical 3-minute stretch. And before you know it, man, it was back within 7. It was back within 5. And Yabusele got out of the game, man, and did not return. Huck Porty got the rest of his minutes. But look, Huck Porty's, trying. He's not the finished product by any means right now. I prefer him over Yabusele. But Mike Brown needs to be putting in Diawara. And where's McCullough? Out of the blue, Josh Hart returns. By the way, welcome back to Landry Shamet. Thought Landry had an okay game in his return. Hit a couple of threes, but obviously didn't have his rhythm for the most part. But he wasn't the reason we lost, man. We are lacking size. We're lacking toughness. We're lacking ball handling. We're lacking some creation. And I think, again, tonight we looked our best with Tyler Kolek, man, in the ball game. To start the 4th, the Knicks made a little run, but then the Warriors, man, and Steph Curry got hot. And I'm asking myself, where's Tyler Kolek? I mean, our offense looks so much better with Tyler Kolek on the floor because the ball's swinging around, it's moving. And we all know Deuce McBride's not that point guard, man. So number 1, man, on my New Year's wish list is to get another ball handler up in here, get some toughness, get some warriors, get some fighters, some dogs in this thing, man. We need a couple of defenders, right? Offensively, obviously, we've got Cat, we've got Brunson, we've got guys, OG, that can score the basketball. Mikal Bridges had a better game tonight, but, man, I'm going to go on a rant on Mikal Bridges because I'm not pleased at all, man. The empty points towards the end of the game, It looks nice when he gets on a little bit of a rhythm, but we need more toughness, man. That's what we're lacking right now. Not some, empty buckets towards the end of a ball game right now. And look, a lot of us maybe miscast Mikal Bridges in terms of on the defensive side. I think offensively, obviously, when he's rolling, it looks good, but he could do a lot better. But defensively has been the biggest letdown, man. He ain't tough. He doesn't like contact, doesn't get physical, and that's not Knicks basketball, man. We need fighters out there, man. We are struggling to get stops right now. So my number one solution, and we can rant all night about, the poor defense, Cat, man, frustrating all of us, falling to the ground last night, not getting back up into the play. He looks like he's kind of given up. And I'm going to talk about the front office too, because I think they're not blameless. They traded for Cat, the contract, and obviously they had talks with Milwaukee about Giannis in the summer as well. Cat would know about all of this through his agent. And how do you think he's going to feel, obviously, when things aren't going well? And he's looking like he's not all in on the cause right now. Obviously, he's not happy with his role on offense. But my number one solution is, guys, we need as many defenders up in here, right? Post some trades in the chat. Ernest Cameron and New York City 89 salute. Says, I would have stepped on Draymond if he did that to me. Look, I love your point, man, and I appreciate you coming through tonight, man, on late night recap, Knicks buzz, right? You know me, I don't like to get too high, too low on the 82, but right now I'm feeling low, and it's great to have everyone here to chop it up, but I'm all about solutions, right? Because this season, man, up until tonight, we were still the second seed, and we need a quick reaction, right? We need to snap into action, man, right? I saw fight from OG Anunoby. I saw a fight from Josh Hart. He was moving the ball well, had a couple of great dimes. Deuce McBride caught fire late, but we're missing, man. We're missing some toughness on the defensive side. And I think a couple of our defensive guys are trying, but there's just too much to do in the way of OG Anunoby. And Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns, even Deuce McBride against some bigger guys just ain't getting the job done, right? So what I need from Leon Rose starting tomorrow, man, is to try to get as many defensive-minded guys, tough-minded guys on this team to surround the rest of the likes of JB, Cat, and the rest of the guys, man. Because, look, we're still going to have that dialogue about potential Karl-Anthony Towns trades because the trade deadline hasn't, closed shut yet, right? I just don't think it's too realistic. Yeah, if Giannis is so fed up and he wants to force it, man, by all means, man, get on the phone to Milwaukee. Try to make that happen. But I'm trying to come from a realistic, standpoint right now and think, okay, if we do have Cat for the rest of the season, and look, I think his Knicks future is going to be short-lived, right? Probably to the end of the season at maximum. If he's going to stay, though, to the end of the season, we're going to make this run. We need as many defensive guys, man. We need Jose Alvarado. We need potentially, Jeremy Sohan, Nick Richards, a ball handler at the point of attack, another wing, and a big man, right? Ideally, and let's see what happens, right? Let us know in the chat which guys you would like to see us go for, man. Nostalgic Nick, salute. Real King, salute. Nostalgic Nick, not happy with Mike Brown right now. Wants a shake-up. Look, this season, man, obviously it's championship or bust. And I do think, things could be on the table at the end of the season, but I don't see Mike Brown going anywhere, man, this season. He'll see the season out, but I'm frustrated, man. As Violent Knicks Culture says, I prefer Diawara over Yabu, 100%. And I'm glad he actually changed in-game, right? If this was Tibbs, he probably would have rocked with Yabu, but Huck Pority got to see out the rest of the game, and at least Huck Pority gave us more effort, man. But look, Huck Pority ain't the solution. That's what I'm talking about, a Nick Richards, man. I feel like Jeremy Sohan, if he can get that done for Yabu, get that done, because at least he could guard threes, fours, and be switchable right now, fam. There's just too much on the plate of OG. Mikal Bridges' defense is overrated, and Josh Hart and Deuce McBride, fam, they are undersized as well. AP, good to see you in the building. Johnny Davis, salute. Says we need all them guys. Uh, we need some more Rough Riders, man, because we're getting taken advantage of. And look, we're going to bounce back because obviously the Knicks don't, fall into a hole for too long. We've got some ballers. And look, on the positive is that Jalen Brunson is not in a walking boot and he's not on crutches. So, the ankle long term is obviously something to watch carefully. But right now, we are going to get JB back relatively soon. I don't think he's going to be out for too long, man, but he needs to throw them Kobe's away, right? Get some mid-tops, fam. We all know with the pivoting and the hop steps and the jumps that Jalen Brunson, man, needs to protect those ankles, man. Get rid of those low tops right now. But look, yeah, I'm really underwhelmed with Mikal Bridges, right? It just is what it is. If he comes up in trade conversations, I'm definitely willing to have those conversations, fam. But as I said, rule number one right now for Leon Rose is to get on the phone and get as many tough guys as we can around these guys, man. Enough Rough Riders, right? Because as I said at the top of the show, we're seeing games without Cat, right? I think it was against Detroit, and we struggled to score. So we do need Cat scoring still if he's on this team, right? But do you lower his minutes? Do you play him more at the 4, less at the 5? I would, personally. I've said this from day one. I don't believe in Cat playing any minutes at the 5. I just don't, right? How can you have a guy trying to anchor a defense that's so fragile, flimsy, right? He falls over and he's out of the play for an entire minute. You can't have that guy play the 5. And I know he can stretch the floor, but really, we're not getting any stops. So what's the point? It's like playing Amari Stoudemire at the 5, right? It's just not feasible. It's not viable right now. So my solution is to try to get a couple big guys, man, and play Cat exclusively at the 4. Tell him to get his butt down low and play on the block, right? Or catching and shooting. None of this out of control dribble drive, turnovers and all of that, fam. So I need a couple more defenders on this team and a couple of big men. Huck Porty, have a seat. Right? I think he's one for the future, but he's not ready for us this season right now. And, like I said, Nick Richards, looks like the Knicks are in dialogue. He's a name that's come up that we know of in conversations too. Prezi the Boss Salute says, I'm excited to see Landry Shamet number 44 is back. Yeah, it was a nice boost early in this game, and I was pleased, man, just to see Landry back healthy. And I think he's going to give us something great for the rest of the season if he can be healthy. But yeah, I'm still looking for more defenders, man, more guys with some size, man. Najee Marshall, Sadiq Bey, if you can get Atari Eason, right? I'm starting to become more flexible on some guys that I would potentially trade. Now, tonight, we also got to mention no Mitch on the second of a back-to-back, right? So, they're not transparent. Are they doing this just to preserve him for the playoffs? Or is this a real restriction where even when it comes to the playoffs, right, is this what we can expect from Mitch? Playing one night, nursing the soreness for the next game, man. It's a worry. And like I said, we need another big man because Cat, far from dependable right now, man. I would trade him tonight if it was a worthwhile, sideways step even. Just get off of that contract, man. Also, it's just the fit. Obviously we know Cat can look a lot better in certain scenarios, but it's just so rigid, right? Whoever gave Karl Anthony Towns $53 million contract and $63 million contract, man, needs to be arrested. Man, that is a crime against humanity, in my opinion. And Leon Rose traded for that contract. So he needs to wear that. It's not looking very tradable right now. And look, if we are potentially going to get a Giannis with Cat in the deal, right, it might be a multi-team trade and you might have to give up Kolek and Deuce McBride even just to make that happen, right? Ed K's in the building. AP says, I'm getting tired of Mitch. Like I said, I don't really know whether it's all on Mitch or whether it's just the organization's plan, but I'm with you in terms of it's frustrating, man. you have your lead big man defender, and you want to see him every single night right now. And look, Leon Rose would entertain a trade. From my read of the situation, they haven't extended Mitch, and any guy that, Leon doesn't extend normally means that he's open to being traded or will get traded right now. But look, Mitch is so important to our defense, a team that can't really get stops. I mean, what is the solution, right? You can only move on from Mitch if you're getting some like-for-like defensive-minded guys. And obviously, Giannis, the Greek freak, is one of those guys right now. But it was so painful to watch, man. It was like torture watching last night. I'm not going to lie, fam. We need some injection. We need some shake-up. And we need some extra toughness, right? Even when we're fully healthy, right, and things are going well offensively, we know this team been lacking toughness for a couple of years now, since we lost Randall, Dante, and Isaiah Hartenstein, man. Those guys brought the toughness, man. Were they perfect? Absolutely not. But they played like New York Knicks, man. They played like Knicks, basketball of yesterday. The toughness, the grit. They wouldn't let anyone get, punk them from a physical standpoint. And yeah, it spun out of control sometimes with Julius Randle, but he would always step to the challenge. Right now, Cat's folding like a cheap tent, man, like a cheap suit when the challenges come, man, falling onto the deck, smiling, laughing, and he's just not taking this thing seriously right now. And I need to put this on the coach as well and the front office, like I said. No sole person is blameless in this thing, man. It goes from top to bottom. Leon Rose traded for that contract. Like I said, Minnesota, whoever gave Cat $53 million, man, that is a crime, because that guy is not looking anything like a $50 million player, right? I know the fit is questionable right now with this team, but that is also on the coach. But I was thinking this last night, man. If Cat was earning like Emmanuel Quickly money, like 30 million, okay, it'd be more like, that's reasonable. That's the kind of player we're seeing. Not a 53, 55, $60 million player right now, man. And thank God Leon Rose has not extended him, right? Cat should be opting into that final year, because there ain't no team crazy enough, maybe outside of Sacramento, that's going to extend Karl Anthony Towns, man, to that number as well, man. He is just such a polarizing player right now. And look, greatest shooting big man of all time, as he likes to call himself, but he's not even shooting the three that well, man, as well, right? Even the looks, even some good looks he's getting, man, they're not even going down. So again, all about solutions, man. And I'm all about trying to get as many defensive-minded guys in here. I do think Jose Alvarado would be a good, fit for the locker room. He would bring that toughness and pick up guys full court. He would really, thrive, I think, on this team and give this team what it needs. I'm realistic, if you got Yabu and Dardier and some Clarkson to dangle, you're not going to get probably some of the guys that we're hoping, but you can probably get a guy like a Jeremy Sohan out of San Antonio, who is rugged. He is rough, obviously can't shoot, but I'm done getting bullied, man. This team just needs to show some more toughness, man. Even if they got to grind out some games, man, 95 to 93, right? Something's got to flip right now. I'm just watching some guys run up and down the court, man. Yeah, they're scoring some buckets, but then on the other end, they're getting beaten down the floor as well. They're giving up cheap fouls as well. It's just so tough to see, man, based on, 90s Knicks. Look, even 2013 had some grit with Rasheed Wallace, Kurt Thomas, J.R. Smith, Shump, Camby, J. Kidd, Melo. Even that team was more tougher than what we're seeing right now, man. Right? What are we trying to replicate? D'Antoni's Phoenix with Steve Nash and Stoudemire? I mean, that's not going to get it done this right now, fam. Yeah, with Cat, like I said, I think we're stuck with him, man, for the rest of the season, unless Giannis can really force it. And so our best possible chance, man, and I think our championship hopes, man, I never want to give up before the playoffs even begin, and I'm not. but I think the window is starting to close, man. And I think we need to bring in some more defensive guys to surround the weaker defenders of this team. Because look, you're looking at OG Anunoby, who's just could gas out at any minute. Mikal Bridges ain't showing that toughness either. I'm questioning whether Mikal Bridges is really built for this. He had adversity last season. He rose above in the postseason. But right now, man, we're back to square one once again. We're back to a guy that's more, worried about his Iron Man streak rather than actually giving the fans what they want to see, which is some more grit, right? Ducking contact on the fast break, right? Giving up the basketball like Ben Simmons when he's under the rack. It's tough, man. It's tough. Like I said, I know there's some flawed guys that we've been linked to in terms of guys that can't shoot, like a Jeremy Sohan, etc. But I'll be willing to balance what we have right now with some toughness, because I think that's the best, way forward right now. Couple of guys in the building, Dirty Dancer, salute. And we've got Slow Runner. You'd be better off with Jock Landale instead of Cat. Right. Don't get me started on Precious last night. That just goes to show, man, it ain't nothing about ability. What we saw last night was from Precious Achua, a guy that cared, right? He felt obviously slighted, former team. He played hard. Karl-Anthony Towns is not invested in the cause right now. And the fish rots at the head, right? Every fan is going to talk about Cat as the low-hanging fruit. But Leon Rose, right? First you traded for the guy. Point number one. The second thing is you see his flaws, right? Okay, how do we counter that? We need a couple of extra big men, right? So we can play Cat more at the 4, right? And then the other thing is, it's out there now that you had talks with Milwaukee, right? You had those Giannis talks. Cat knows. You don't think he knows through his agent and, according to Ian Begley, the Knicks made a real offer. They made that offer to Milwaukee, and obviously Cat was in that deal. You don't get that deal done for whatever reason. Maybe that's not all on the front office, but you now know that Cat knows he was in that trade, and you're going to bring him back for a full season, expecting him to be invested, right? This isn't Disneyland. These are real people. They read the social media. They read the reports. They know what's going on out there, fam. And so right now, man, Leon Rose just needs to salvage his situation. Right. Dark Dragon, salute, man. I'm overseas at the moment. That's why, man, it's 5 p.m., fam, in the evening. Still got some daylight, fam. But Friday night for me, definitely going to have a couple of drinks, right? And we need Brunson back. Thankfully, he ain't going to be out for too long. But good to see Sham back, Hart back, obviously, but those guys can't make up for all the deficiencies, fam. Mikal Bridges is getting paid $30+ million, right? OG Anunoby played up to his contract tonight, right? I have no issues with the way OG Anunoby played tonight. He earned his money. Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, I think we need more from you. Dirty Dancer salute says, no more Frenchies unless they're Wemby. Well, I'd take Nicholas Batum. That's a good name. We talk about trades, but yeah, I do think the buyout market is a realistic way to upgrade as well. But first, we've got to get some contracts off our books. I'm more worried about now, Yabusele tonight, man, he looked absolutely dreadful. And obviously, I got to think Mike Brown has some common sense, right? He's playing him because it's a mandate, right? But I hope Mike Brown is able to now push back, especially after tonight, and say, look, we had a 17-point lead. We had the momentum. Looked like it was going to be a bounce back early in the game. Obviously, it was very early, but then Yabusele had one of the worst stretches of basketball I've seen from a pro Knicks basketball player, man. He's just not even moving like an NBA player. Yabusele right now, he looks like a player that's been in Europe for the last 3 seasons, right? And should not have come back to the NBA, right? And I'm not trying to take away what he achieved last season. He did look like an NBA player last season, but to our luck, we sign a guy and then he turns into a pumpkin right now. And, he loses all abilities, movement. And I've got to think something happened to Yabusele in the offseason, man. right? I know he's trying to claim he's always been this playing weight, but he just looks heavy and he looks like he's not moving like he was last season. I'm sure something happened in the off season, whether it be a strain or a pull or a setback, because right now he just can't even move and it's painful to watch. He should not be getting any minutes right now. And if it's a mandate on Mike Brown, I'm pushing back. If I'm Mike Brown, I'm saying, look, I'm trying to win ball games. You should be trying to win ball games. F the trade value and all of that. It is what it is. If we have to, move him as a sunken cost, optics or whatever. I know Leon Rose gave him the mini mid-level, right? It's a sunken cost right now. You're not going to play Yabusele and he's suddenly going to, look better and, look attractive to other teams, man. You can't be pulling the wool over the eyes of these other teams, fam. Shah Legacy, salute, man. Great to see you. Haven't seen you for a minute. Hope is all well. Yeah, I blame Leon for making bad moves and kept doubling down, one bad move after another as well. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about the Cat thing over the last 2 days, and I was on board at the time because I hate to lose Dante, but the Julius thing, obviously they couldn't come to an agreement and they felt, they were going to move on from Julius, right? But you bring Cat in, obviously last season, we got as far as we've gone in 25 years. So there is some positives to the Cat thing, but obviously you're as good as your latest performance. And right now, Cat just doesn't look invested. And it goes back to earlier in the summer, right? Whatever happened with Milwaukee, you weren't serious, they weren't serious, someone needed to get serious. And if you weren't able to move on from Cat in the Giannis deal, right, you needed to really, bolster our defense, around Cat and Brunson, which I don't think he's been able to really do. Dirty Dan says, I can't get with that. Leon has done a great job overall. Yeah, look, it's polarizing at the minute. I do think Leon Rose has done some outstanding things. So has Brock Aller. And I do think, the Julius thing, you could argue they made the best of a tough situation, losing Hartenstein too. Yeah, right now, this thing is still salvageable, in my opinion, right? Get some more defensive-minded guys with Cat, coach him up. And right now, if he's not locked in, play to his strengths, right? Obviously, bench him when he is struggling. That's what Mike Brown did the other night, and we were able to get the win. He was benched down the stretch. I think in Portland, or it was the Clippers game. One of those games, we pulled it out. Cat was benched down the stretch, played, 27 minutes, obviously. But, I do think it's a situation where, like, there is some moves to be made. And I do think Leon Rose has really got to be busy right now. There is some guys we can bring in that can defend. Right now, Brunson's a weakness. Obviously, we're seeing him now, not on the team though. We're struggling to score the rock. Fam, the other night when we didn't have Cat against Detroit, we struggled to score the rock. So if you got Cat till the end of the season, fine. You utilize him offensively, but get some more defensive guys around him. Because, again, when I say the blame isn't only on one guy, I think our known defenders aren't defending as good as they can or as good as they should. And Deuce, struggles against bigger matchups. Mikal Bridges is not a point of attack defender right now. And OG Anunoby's been down most recently. Had a better performance tonight, but it is a lot on his shoulders too. I would definitely not take Scott Perry back, but yeah, I don't think Leon Rose has been flawless in his execution. AP with a super chat. Thank you, man. Appreciate you for coming through and for the contributions. Always locked in, keeping the streets buzzing. AP says, get someone who wants to be here. I don't care if it's Donovan Mitchell or Zion at this point. A lot of passion coming through there. Understand, man. Through his actions, you could see Cat's frustrated. Fans are frustrated. This is where you need leadership, in an organization. Because, look, teams go through bumps in the road and they can come out the other side. But right now, Cat just doesn't seem to have been on the same page with the team, with the coach. Reports now through, Stefan Bondi, that obviously he's been bigging up Tibbs from last season. Maybe he's not fully feeling Mike Brown, but I do think, for us to get any further, right, I hate to make one guy a particular scapegoat. That's why I'm not doing that, because last night I wouldn't have even just talked about Cat. I really feel like our defensive players are still letting us down. Cat is the low-hanging fruit right now. I think the way he's performing, the way he's, showing his, lack of effort and all of that. But I do think Leon Rose, man, now we're at the 41 game point. We're at the halfway mark. And I do think Leon Rose should know this team's weakness right now. And hopefully he can pull off and execute a couple of really impactful moves, man. That's my hope right now. Because I do think we need Cat scoring. We need Brunson scoring, right? Scoring will come to a grinding halt in the playoffs against physical defenses if we can't have guys space the floor out. But you also need some more defenders in this thing. Let us know who stands out to you, fam. If Nicholas Batum is available, I would try to get him. Najee Marshall's a name I like. Obviously, Sadiq Bey, Tari Eason are high on my list, but I just can't see us getting them unless you're parting with Kolek or Deuce and some picks. Dirty Dan says, Cat is just this year's scapegoat. Plenty of dudes playing bad. Absolutely true. Ed K Salute says, Milwaukee's GM has eyes as well. We'd have to add half of our roster to switch Cat for Giannis. That's why I said from the beginning, it has to come from Giannis. The aggression has to come from him, and he has to be forceful with it. Next super chat from AP says, no Scott Perry, Kevin Knox in brackets. Amen to that. Scott Perry can stay out there in Sacktown. But look, give Precious his props, right? Let's not pretend like Miami didn't waive Precious, right? I know Precious probably thinking, the Knicks. Look, he wanted to play hard against his former team. I don't think it was anything more than that. But obviously, he played very hard last night, man. And he was obviously wanting to come back with the Knicks. He's from the area. I don't think he has any, grounds to feel a certain way about New York. Remember, we held out all the way to the end last summer to give Precious the $6 million deal. There was no other team lining up to give Precious Achiuwa $6 million. I think the Knicks did Precious a favor. And yeah, he gave us what he had last season, but yeah, I don't think Precious should be feeling any type of way on the Knicks, man. We gave him $6 million and we threw him that lifeline, man, when Miami threw him away. Now Miami's thrown him away twice, right? And he was a free agent and he's playing on a minimum with the worst team in the league, Sacramento, right? So what does that say about how the rest of the league views Precious Achiuwa, right? It ain't just about the New York Knicks. Yeah, Moses Moody, man, and tonight he was a killer, and it just seems when it rains, it pours, man. Every role player that's kind of been through the mud looks like they're thriving against the Knicks. Tonight, Moses Moody, feel like he couldn't miss, man. It was frustrating to watch. Royce O'Neal killed us in Phoenix. And is it time to just call out our defenders and our defensive schemes, right? Fool us once, it's on us. Fool us twice, it's on them, man. Because, they continue to leave shooters open. They continue to, not read the scouting report, pay attention, and poor closeouts, overhelping. So I think we've had an issue, man, overhelping on the drives, right? If a guy gets beat off the dribble, man, let the guy drive and hit a tough shot at the rim or lock him up and make him make 2 free throws, man. Now we're just giving guys a wide open kick out, open 3 from the overhelping when it comes to reaching. OG Anunoby's doing a lot of that, man, hedging, trying to fill the gaps. I get it. But you can't be cheating off known 3-point shooters. That's a massive issue right now. Now, on the Precious thing, would I take Precious over Yabusele right now? I would. And I might sound like a hypocrite because I did say, as I'm sure many of us said, Yabusele we thought was an upgrade. Well, that's on us as well as the front office, because and on him. He ain't playing like he was last season. The whole team says AP. Old B says, how about Domantas Sabonis? I would swap him. I'll probably swap Cat. I'd swap Cat for Sabonis, but I don't think Leon Rose would do that because, he'd be worried about the optics front, fam. I think we're stuck with Cat unless it's a Giannis trade. Now, next season is his expiring deal, and then he has the player option, actually, which he might pick up, or things might be so contentious that he doesn't pick that up and opts for goes for an extended deal at a lower number as well. Now, we've got Cruz in the building. Salute, says, what's up, bro? I know we lost tonight, but I think we need to find a way to beat teams like the Warriors without Brunson. 100% agree with you, man. Need to be able to compete without him. And it looked good earlier in the season. When Brunson was out, we got some wins. But as I said earlier today, man, I think we're just really lacking confidence. Look, as the season goes along, there's more wear and tear on the guys, and I do think they're looking more tired. This is truly on the coaching where, okay, you play Diawara, he had some rough patches, but why all of a sudden is he unplayable? You take Kolek out of the game and the offense comes to a grinding halt. These are things that I need the coach to be aware of because we're all seeing it. And he's had 41 games now. He should be knowing what this team really needs. I thought McCullough gave us some energy as well. Look, Landry's back and Hart's back now, so I'm expecting those guys to boost our energy. But look, again, I like to put it at the feet of the higher salary guys. McCall, OG, Hart, Cat, Mitch. When Brunson is out, I don't think it's fair to look to a role player or the young rookies or minimum guys to try to pick you up. It needs to be the high salary guys, man. Because they're earning big, and when things are going well, it's easy to look like you're rolling, right? But when you're in the mud, that's why you're getting paid 40, 50, $35 million. The organization needs you to really step up. And like Cruz said, beat Warriors. I thought last night would have been a guaranteed win. It was an absolute embarrassment. They did not show up last night. And then come the end of the game, they find their rhythm, right? When the other team's effort dips, right? It's just so predictable. Buzzer beater, salute. Great to see you come through on the late night recap. No, we don't look good right now. 100% correctable, but I just feel like we're floundering and we need a shake-up. Whatever's going on in that locker room, and none of us are in that locker room right now, but actions speak louder than words. And whether or not they're just a bit tired of each other, or they're just, at that point in the season where they've hit the wall, or there's a lack of energy, toughness, all of those things combined, we need a spark right now. And I thought, playing Yabusele early tonight, man, it really hurt us, I know there's been a couple of games he's hit a couple of threes, but I'm not really fooled by that. We really need the effort and the toughness, to battle right now. We need to battle. Dirty Dancer says throw the in-season tournament next year and take the week of rest. We've won one of the NBA Cups now. I definitely wouldn't be mad. You got to treat the season like it's a marathon. But look, I also don't put too much stock in that in-season tournament either, in terms of how we are. We might have been hitting the wall anyway, because we've seen OG, go through these funks as well. Mikal Bridges as well. That's, with that Iron Man streak with Mikal Bridges, for me, that's just more personal accolades that he's focused on. Have a seat, right? This is where I think the Knicks organization, Leon Rose, it's all too buddy, I think at times, there needs to be a mandate where it's like, hey, you're not playing at 100%, man, have a couple of games rest, right? Force him to have a seat, because, the lack of energy and the effort sometimes is killing us too from those spots. Ed says, exactly, you leave shooters wide open. Even Ben Simmons will drop 30 from 3 with some of these open look. Yeah, look, guys get into rhythm, and also the scouting report, you know. There's so many assistant coaches now on every team. If we as fans know our team's weakness, if you don't think a paid professional on the other bench that gets paid to watch film and study these other teams, they know our weakness, fam. And they're drilling it into their guys, Yeah, they don't like contact. Yeah, they're going to leave you open, man. Swing the ball around. You'll get the open three. Just keep doing it. And that is what is happening right now. And again, with Cat, I just think it goes back to your defense, right? Is it compromised when he's playing the 5? 100%. For me to have this thing work, I need us to get a couple of extra big men. One in case of Mitch, the other one, obviously, Huck Porty ain't dependable right now. And obviously, Cat, I don't want him playing too much at the 5. And I know what the pushback's going to be. Yeah, we need Cat shooting. We need spacing. He's a stretch 5. That's what we traded for and all of that. Fair enough. My pushback would be, okay, show me his 3-point numbers. Number 1, is he shooting it at a worthwhile clip to justify? And number 2, are we even getting Cat, or are we even trying to get him as many looks from downtown to make it worthwhile? We're not, man. Brook Lopez, who's washed up, probably been as effective, shooting threes. Al Horford as well. So my thing is get Cat at the 4, man. Get a couple of extra big men. You can't count on Mitch right now. And really shore up our defense, right? As a offensive team, I think we've got enough guys, man. We've got enough guys to put the ball in the bucket when push comes to shove. Yeah, we need to, hit our shots and all of that. But I do think we do have enough, man. We need to get more defensive minded. Now, Dirty Dancer says, I would sign up for Ayo Dosunmu. And we do have a Bulls fan, Cruz, in the building too, talking about the East is incredibly weak right now. Knicks will be fine. I'm not so confident just because, I'm really looking at Philly. I'm looking at ATL, who can make a move. Detroit still have all their powder to make a massive move as well. The Knicks window, man, it's so small right now. And if we're looking this poor against the Kings, the Warriors, I know we can get it together when the playoffs hit, but now Armon Smith says, you say you want more defensive players, but you don't want to get rid of Tyler, who can't defend a traffic cone. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. It just, you got to keep some of your homegrown talent. I'm not saying Tyler Kolek is a defender by any means, but you could still bring in some defensive guys and keep Tyler Kolek. Now, if we do get Jose Alvarado and we can get a Sadiq Bey or Tari Eason or a bona fide wing, then losing Kolek would be a lot more plausible, viable. In my opinion. But, I see Tyler Kolek as a long-term rotation piece. He's under contract for 2 more seasons, and we are in the second apron right now. So even Ayo Dosunmu, right, he's earning $7 million. So that's a salary increase on Yabu. So that would make us even more financially tight. If we are getting Eason, Jeremy Sohan, Sadiq Bey, Royce O'Neal, Najee Marshall, they're all earning more as well. So that would make things even more tricky, right? So that's why I'm trying to hold on to Tyler. But Yabu's $5 million, Dardier, I would move on from those guys, definitely. Johnny Chiba salute says Clarkson plays with blinders on. Yeah, he frustrated me tonight, man. He was in slow motion. It was like he was playing high. Yeah, I feel you on the Yabusele thing. Now give Trey Jemison some minutes when he's available, says Old. Yeah, I actually watched Trey Jemison tonight, man. We had the earlier Westchester game. It was a 7 p.m. tip in Westchester. I did watch Dink Pate. I watched Trey Jemison, and I watched Bryson Warren. Jemison, he gave us a lot tonight in Westchester, a lot of energy, some tip-ins. He's kind of an energy guy, a 10 5-minute player, but he can give us good energy. Dink Pate was impressive. You know, the 3-point ball continues to be a thing. And I think the organization needs to call up Dink Pate for a two-way real quick, because again, he played well tonight. I watched it live. It was on ESPN Plus. If you are hoping to catch some of the G League games. But, you know, I think those aren't the solutions for our championship aspirations, though. That's the thing. Get Dink Pate on the two-way. He's a future piece. I'm trying to look at, you know, what can we do right now to really give me more confidence that we're going to run through the East, because Detroit are good, man. You know, I'm not, you know, afraid to admit Detroit. Am I super scared of them? No, I'm not, because playoff, I think, you know, it's going to be a battle and we have a chance to beat anyone, but they are legit and it's not going to be easy by any means. Even a series against Philadelphia ain't going to be the same as when we beat them with Randall and Ihart. Right? We don't have that toughness that we used to have right now. So we'll see, man. Could we get Jemison off of a two-way? He could be one of the two bigs, yeah, old. Again, my solution I'm posing, get two more bigs, and, you know, maybe another point guard. So you move off of Dardier, you move off of Yabu's spot, and then you can sign the 15th guy, obviously, you know, at some point, whether it be March, April, earlier, if you can get the salaries down. But yeah, if you could swap Dardier, Yabu's spot, and then the 15th spot, you could get two bigs and a wing, or two bigs and another ball handler like an Alvarado. That can defend, I think would take a lot of pressure off the rest of our guys, because, yeah, I hear you guys about Cat. Alex says Cat can't learn how to stop fouling, man. And that's one major weakness we have right now, but we need our other guys to step up as well. You know, our known defenders aren't defending the way they should. They are playing quite soft. But yeah, Dink, you know, weird shooting form. Like Dirty says, killing it from three, can't hit a free throw. Yeah, he's shooting with confidence, but yeah, he's 19, and I do think he ain't ready this season. But yeah, after a big summer, I think he could be a piece for next year, absolutely. And I could see why the organization probably didn't want to pick him up early in the season and said, look, you need G League minutes. But so far, so good. He is using those G League minutes to, you know, to really flesh out his game. And yeah, with Johnny Chiba, man, with Cat, I think he's just not invested, you know. I've seen Cat lock in, you know, even with Minnesota against the Joker again. You know, you just see from the body language, man. You know when a guy's strapped in, locked in like we are, like some of the other Knicks, and whatever it is, man, every player has an ego. I think it's a culmination of things. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to bring up on the front office is you traded for Cat, you put him in a trade talk with Milwaukee, and the trade didn't get done. The other thing you didn't do, which is, you know, still up for debate, is you didn't extend him. So that's another reason why a guy like Cat might not be as invested, right? You can't be going into an all-in championship or bust season with a guy that you dangled in a trade in the summer and then you didn't extend him. You know, like I said, these guys are human. They know the vibes from their agent, the family. There's people in their ears. There's social media. They ain't dumb, man. They're reading all of this, and yeah, I just don't think Cat's fully invested, man. He knows that he's been trying to be traded. He knows that we weren't able to extend him. And I do think that, you know, we're seeing the downfall. We're seeing the downfall of that right now, man. And I feel for Mike Brown. Mike Brown's been doing everything the front office wanted him to do when that coaching change came about. You know, he's played more guys. He's still managed to win, right? There's no guarantees our record would be any better with Tibbs. I think we'd be right around where we are. And yeah, it hasn't looked pretty over the last 2 weeks. We have come back down a little bit. We've missed that chance to really put separation. But so far, we are, half a game out of the second seed. And we do need to pull ourselves out of this mud quickly. But Mike Brown's done an okay job. Now, as of late, I think he could have done a lot better. But I do think he's been doing what the front office has asked. You know, he's got us playing faster. He wanted to get more threes up. It's just a flawed roster right now. And, you know, you need a miracle worker to come in and make this thing look perfect. And our biggest benefit to hiring Mike Brown was for the playoffs, so that he would make adjustments in game and game to game as well. Was Thibodeau, he didn't use the regular season enough, but he also in the playoffs, he was too slow making adjustments, and he got outcoached by Rick Carlisle. Now, I can't judge everything on Mike Brown right now because he's probably being told to play Yabusele. But as I said earlier, guys, I hope he's pushing back. I hope that he does push back. Because, look, he has benched Yabusele for consecutive DNPs. And then all of a sudden he started playing him again. So I do think that's probably a direct order from Leon. OG and Cat are overpaid, says Buzzer. We gave up too much from Macau. I agree with you on 2. I disagree with the OG. OG I can stomach. OG, great two-way player. He's still flawed offensively, but I think in the going rate of this current NBA, I can stomach 42 million because his contract's just begun as well. So let's not forget, as OG gets to his 3rd, 4th, 5th year of the deal, it's not going to look as big in context when you got guys like Quickly earning 30 something. You got RJ Barrett earning money that the Raptors are trying to get off of. See, with OG, it doesn't look great at times at 42, but as I said, when that contract continues on, it's not going to look as bad. But yeah, Macau Bridges, we overpaid 110%, and Cat is 130% overpaid, fam. 53, 60 million, man. And look, at times, obviously, he looked good in Minnesota and he looks like he's earning that contract. But when it's not going well, man, it looks terrible, right? You see a veteran's minimum guy out hustle him, but that's because he's not invested. He's just not invested in this thing. And look, there's a lot of speculation and rumors out there. The biggest one is Cat wants a bigger role and Cat will love to be the number 1 option. And that's believable. You look at his body language, his behavior, and he's not getting the touches he wants, the shots, and this is Brunson's team, right? But I look at Cat, I'm like, okay, last year you're playing with Ant-Man. So you were locked in when you're playing with Ant-Man. What's the difference between being the second option in New York City? And look, maybe it is just the fact that we didn't extend him. We didn't want to reinvest in him, and we put him in that Giannis trade. Look, Giannis can continue to duck it, but obviously he knows, his agent knows, everyone's been trying to get him to New York. And in the summer, whatever happened, the Bucks weren't ready to do the deal yet. The Knicks weren't fully all in. Maybe that's another missed opportunity, man. You look at some of these other teams, fam, and the packages they can put together, man. You talk about the Detroit Pistons, the Hawks, the Magic, the Spurs, the Rockets, the OKC Thunder as well, are going to have 3 lottery picks. I mean, they probably won't do it, but they could go out and get Giannis if they wanted, man. They've got all the players, the picks to do that in the summer as well. So I'm worried about the Giannis thing completely because I don't even think in the summer we're not going to have the best package. It's solely going to rely on Giannis saying, I only want to go to New York. That's our best chance. Johnny Chiba says, CT, there was one play where 4 Knicks converged on Curry and he popped it out to an uncovered Warrior for an easy 3. Horrible D. Yeah, low IQ sort of situation and overcompensating. That's the thing, Johnny Chiba, when you're constantly getting beat, you're trying to overcompensate for your teammates, What do they say about that, a chain? When there's one weak link, the whole thing falls apart kind of thing. So, yeah, you could have 4 good defenders and 1 really poor defender. And if that link falls apart, the rest of it, man, can crumble, man, just like a bridge crumbling, fam, right now. Hopefully Brunson ain't out too long, Buzzer. He ain't in crutches. He ain't in a boot. So I think he might miss maybe 1 more max, maybe 2 more max out of precaution. He might be ready to go in the next one. So, yeah, I don't think Brunson's going to be out for too long, fam. But, yeah, he does need to change those sneakers, fam. People have a sticker shock. Starting money is probably like 25, 30 nowadays. Yeah, good starters get paid like McCall and OG. Yeah, you said it. You know, yeah, it's all about decisions. And look at the Raptors. They're trying to move off of quickly. They're trying to move off of RJ. So that's why I don't blame Leon Rose about everything. And Dirty Dancer was 100% correct before in terms of Leon Rose and this front office still been one of the best front offices we've had in our history. But that doesn't mean they haven't made some mistakes, but they also need to be commended for some of the moves they made. Yeah, they didn't want to overpay quickly. Yep, he thought he was a starter. Fair enough. He tried to, he bet on himself and he won. He got the money. But now, right, he might be a journeyman. He might be traded around. Ja Morant, he might be one of those guys. LaMelo Ball, right, 30 million. If you ain't healthy, you ain't balling out. Team, we're happy to give you the money. But after that, you might be traded, man, after 6 months. Nobody's safe from being traded right now in this second apron. Because if you ain't performing, you ain't justifying that contract. The team can't feasibly win and keep you on the books. They'll have to get rid of you. RJ Barrett probably going to get traded as well. Now Julius is really doing well, but again, I'm not falling for that trap, right? If Minnesota can get fair value, they'll trade Julius Randle in a heartbeat. Right now, Julius looks great when he's locked in. When there's adversity and a losing streak, or the team just ain't getting it done, it's a tough situation as well with Julius. We were in that situation. He's another guy who bet on himself. He got paid an okay deal. But again, he was another guy turning 30. Knicks wanted to invest in another big man because they lost Isaiah. If we never lost Isaiah, we probably wouldn't have traded for Cat, and we'd have our two big men. Leon Rose did obviously pivot. But yeah, the McCall-Bridges trade is just really looking like Leon's worst move, fam. Not even Cat. Not going to lie, man. Let me know if you agree or disagree, right? I think we can all agree that arguably Leon Rose's two worst moves would be the McCall or the Cat, right? If there's one that you could stomach or one that you would want to redo, which one? I'm pretty sure most of us would redo the McCall one, right? Because if you still have Cat, but you could get back those 5 first-round picks for McCall, you would have Giannis right now. You would have Giannis. And so I think, Leon Rose's worst move is the McCall-Bridges move. And yeah, like Ricardo says, agree, worst two moves. Dirty Dancer says, I still like both moves. And look, I think when McCall-Bridges is playing well, right, everyone's saying, yeah, F the picks. And I was once, saying that myself, when he was playing super well. But, I'm just trying to judge the whole Knicks, tenure with McCall-Bridges. It's just been underwhelming. It's been okay at times. In the playoffs, he, came to play, got us a series win against the Celtics. But then you also got to look at, okay, he's getting paid that money, but you also gave up 5 first-round picks as well. So I'm just more frustrated at his ability to not play with contact right now. Whether that means overcompensating and getting more guys that want contact to make it work, we'll figure it out. Johnny Chiba says, I totally disagree, RE McCall. Dirty Dan says, getting a quality player back for Bogdanovich is the dream. The Nets are wasting those picks, so I don't care. Yeah, so there's two ways to look at it. It's like, okay, McCall is super helpful, and I'm not saying he's not. But if you could have those 5 first-round picks back, you could easily make the case that we could get a better player than McCall. So, yeah, we did what we did at the time, but you could also say now, if we had those picks back, I think we'd be in a much better position. We've extended McCall, and, the playoffs are still yet to come. He might be the hero. I just don't think he is exactly what this team needs, right? I don't think he's exactly what we need because of the other compromises. And look, again, we go back to the whole roster construction. With Brunson and with Cat, you're so compromised on defense that, yeah, we sometimes put a lot at the feet of McCall-Bridges, and maybe some of us miscast him as being a lockdown defender or, that defensive guy that we really need. But when he's playing against Macau, he's playing next to Brunson and Cat, you need to be a hell of a defender to help make up ground, fam. And I think, look, Macau can thrive in the open floor as well. I just think we're lacking toughness, man. I think we gave up too much of our half-court toughness and grind right now. And I know it's not just on him. It's Cat, it's Brunson, it's also Mitch being in and out and only playing 25 minutes. And I'm just looking at the whole, right? When we're a championship aspiration team and we're playing against Warriors, Sacramento, we're playing against, even last year, the Jazz, the Wizards. It shouldn't look that difficult to beat average teams. We're just having to grind too much. And like, the person said earlier tonight, man, without Brunson, we should look like we can beat a lot of these mediocre teams, a lot easier than what it shows, The offense just looks super tricky. Buzzer says Randall wanted more money and wouldn't sign for less, so he was traded. The bogey one was a ticking time bomb. That was definitely a move it or lose it situation. And hopefully, man, it works out. We've extended Macau. I do think he'd have okay trade value. So I don't think the Macau one is a sunken cost. So maybe I could correct myself and say that isn't Leon's worst move. Obviously, giving up 5 first. The Cat one is now we're maybe stuck with Cat, where you can't get Giannis and you can't get anyone else. So maybe, again, I go back to the Cat. Maybe that is the worst move Leon's done, and not Macau. Because, again, you're not saying you're going to flip Macau, but, maybe in a year or two, he would still have positive trade value, potentially, on his salary. Whereas, I don't know if anyone's trading for Cat now, let alone a year or two, when his money goes up. I think that's a good read on, is a guy a good deal or not? How tradable are they? Ricardo says, seems like Brunson sustains a 2-week ankle injury, man, every year for the last 3. It's true, man. It's a lot of things. It's his game. He's not relying on athleticism, but he likes to pivot, shift, and dribble, hop, step. The up and under moves and all of that. I think he's got to get his signature sneaker, man. Let's make that happen. Leon's worst move is Fournier. Yep, that would be resounding. I'm more looking at a larger move, but I do think the Fournier one was absolutely terrible. But I did think it's what this team needed at the time in terms of a shooter as well. 17 million, if you look at it now, ain't too bad. But at the time, it was. It didn't work out. It was terrible. Or signing Yabu before knowing the coach. Yeah, that's a good one as well. A lot of constructive chats coming through. You guys are great, as always. I don't like to blame one thing. I think it's the fish rots at the head. The front office right now has got a lot to go off. Let's see what they do. They can earn an A, B+ at this trade deadline and really correct this ship and get it back on course right now. I don't think we're the Titanic. We ain't sinking, but we are stuck. We're like a car bogged down, man, stuck in the snow right now, and we need someone to pull us out. And whether that's the front office making a couple of, savvy moves, whether that's some of the leaders in that locker room really, stepping up and getting everyone on board. Mike Brown needs to be better as well. Stop playing Yabusele. Trust some of the, younger two-way guys. They could give us something. Let's see. We're really going to see how good Leon Rose and Brock Aller are, as we go further with this financial restrictions. I think their hardest work is maybe yet to come, right? Pulling off the Cat deal for Randall and that wasn't even that difficult when you come to think of it, because Minnesota were willing to pull that trigger, easily. But right now, when you're trying to dangle Yabu and Dardier and you're trying to find some right pieces, that could be more difficult than any of the moves they've done like extending dudes and all of that. Now, yeah, Mitch hasn't been extended as well, so I don't think he wants to be playing 40 minutes a night either. So I do think it's a collaborative thing with Mitch to preserve his free agency value. So again, there's a lot of agendas on this situation right now. Mitch is only playing 20 to 25 so that he could stay healthy, but the Knicks don't want to extend him. So again, we're skating on thin ice, man. This thing could backfire quickly, or this thing could, work out right now. And look, the Derrick Rose one was a home run. I need him to find another impact guy like that. Buzzer says CT almost quoted Michael Sugar Ray Richardson. Salute. Great minds think alike. Just saying how I feel right now. And look, last night, man, I know I wanted to do a recap after the 2 to see if the Knicks could bounce back tonight. But last night, man, I would have come on and obviously talked about Cat, but I would have said the same thing. We need more defenders. We need toughness. But last night was just 1 of 82, right? There's bigger problems than just one game. We are finding it difficult to beat mediocre teams. And after the NBA Cup, man, and there was a lot of come from behinds. Let's not act like the Spurs win at the Cup wasn't a come from behind. Cleveland on Christmas Day was an epic come from behind. Boston last season in the playoffs was a come from behind. Can this team really play from ahead? That should be a question people could seriously ask. Now, we should be asking, does this team have the mental fortitude to be a front runner, to be a team that leads from the start of the game till the end, right? Or are they just going to continue to have these lapses? Are they going to continue to, be the underdog and want to fight and scrap, come from behind? Because that's all they seem to be doing right now. And your teams are coming out strong against us with their size, their physicality. That's my biggest worry about the playoffs, fam. The strength, the physicality. I mean, like you guys said tonight, man, Draymond Green, man, if I was on that court, man, and I was, bigger, best believe I would have stepped to Draymond Green. I would have taken one for the team. I would have got a suspension, right? I would have, I'm not going to elaborate, but you guys know what I'm on about, right? I would have taken one for the team. But again, no one. Deuce McBride, talks back a little bit. Huck Porty, standing there watching. Really, I mean, what's up with this team, man? We need the toughness. We need some guys that are really down to win with New York and bring us a championship. Bring us a championship to this city, man. That's been starving for over 50 years right now. These guys, some of them do look like they're playing for themselves rather than the front of the jersey or the city. Right now. And look, again, maybe they're just going through that funk of an 82 game season and they're going to pick it up for the playoffs and all of that. That could happen easily, but I'm just weary of the competition now, man. The East is wide open, but again, this trade deadline, man, this thing could make or break the success of a lot of teams right now. The Atlanta Hawks, right? They might make a run, they might not, but they've got CJ McCollum, they've got Corey Kispert, and they could trade Porzingis. They could get Anthony Davis, possibly. They could get another piece. We'll see what happens, man. Obviously, some other teams as well. Philadelphia, Detroit, Orlando. Man, we're close. We're a couple losses away from being down in the play-in conversation too. So I think hopefully Leon Rose, man, has got some things he's really progressing with trades and talks around the league. And yeah, we're playing Yabusele probably as a showcase, but I would cut that. I would cut that experiment quick, right? Because look, Diawara, Puck Bordy, you could be playing them, boosting their trade stock. But again, I just think it's optics. You gave Yabu the 5.5 million, and if no team's willing to take that, and you can't even play him, then you're just going to have to accept that as a loss, and and you're going to have to probably give up some assets right now, man. Let's see, man. The more losses pile up, the more desperate Leon might get, man, and he might end up having to put Kolek in a deal, in a bigger piece, he might even think about moving Deuce or maybe even Mitch. Who knows? But yeah, the Yabu thing, man, it's looking bad. It's looking grim because other teams are watching, man. And yeah, he just looks so unplayable from tonight, man. You start him early and you have to pull him from the game, man, and play a second-year player too. That's also on the front office too, man. So, look, a lot of blame to go around right now, man. This team is stuck in mud, and I think we need a shake-up. We need some toughness, but I would surround our guys with as many defensive players we can get. Right. Offense, I'll live with what we have right now, especially if Cat is staying. There's enough to balance it out, but you need some more defensive-minded players because some of the defenders on this team aren't even living up to that billing right now. And let's see who we can get. Keep it locked in. Gonna definitely keep it rolling on the next one, guys. Appreciate everyone coming through with the super chats tonight, AP and everyone else with their contributions. Hit that like button. Knicks, man, got to pick it up. Let's hope we can get back to our winning ways. The rest of January, February are going to make or break our season because some tough, games to come up. Man, the Joker, I could only hope for that, fam. Look, I've seen some people mention LeBron, and I've thought about that myself. I don't think it's realistic with LeBron. I do think LA would be willing to just let his money come off, and I don't think they'd be interested in Cat. But let's see what happens. Man. They've got to have a coming to the, meeting of the minds when it comes to Cat, right? Brunson's out. But yeah, we need some more leadership as well, even when Brunson gets back. It already feels like LeBron's going to go back to the Cavs. I think this year is his last. Let's see. Or do you think he's going to go to the Cavs post-trade deadline? Or do you think he's going to do a farewell tour for one more season? Yeah, that's possible, man. Maybe more of a role player where he sits on the end of the bench like Udonis Haslem and tries to mentor for next season. Let's see, man. Look, if LeBron said, I want to play one more year on a vet minimum with the Knicks, right, you wouldn't turn that down, right? We need all the help we can get, man. If we can get a productive player on a vet's minimum, we'll see how that plays out, fam. Yeah, look, I think we need a couple more bigs. I think it starts there. I wouldn't play Cat at the 5 anymore. I've seen enough of a sample size. He's not drilling enough threes for the spacing, and it's just promoting the straight line drives, the turnovers when he's, out on the perimeter. And again, I think Minnesota already taught us Cat is a 4. Why do you think they really went out and spent 5 first rounders on Rudy Gobert? Why do you think they overpaid Naz Reid? That's the solution I'm proposing, man. The Knicks need to wake up. You need to play Cat with more bigs, and play Cat at the 4, not at the 5. And that's, I think, the root of our troubles right now, because he's too fragile to anchor a defense. No successful defense has been anchored by Cat, and so it starts on the defensive side. You can still play Cat 30 minutes. He's still a good offensive player. I just can't play him at the 5, in my opinion. We'll see how it plays out, everyone. But you're going to sign off. Get a good night's rest, man. We'll see you locked in on the next one. I think the Knicks play in another day or so, and we'll be back. Peace, everyone.